Welcome to the Creative Playing Podcast Network. Join us as we share our favorite RPGs, one-shot games, tabletop games, reviews of items, and convention panels, and other exciting things that we run into from time to time. Sit back and enjoy the show.
Hi, this is Kelly, aka Trixie from Ragnarok and Roll, a Scion to Ragnarok story, and Tilda Wimblewick from D&D Journey of the 5th Edition. First off, I would just like to say thank you to everyone for listening to our varied adventures, as well as for rating us on iTunes and RPGpodcast.com. If you haven't rated us yet, we would greatly appreciate it if you could. And if you're looking for more ways to support our efforts, we are now on Patreon, a great site where you can help us continue making more podcasts, as well as some special surprises for our patrons. If you can, please look us up at www.patreon.com/cppn. Every little bit helps. And again, thank you for listening.
Hey guys, Jim and Kelly here from Creative Playing Podcast Network.
Hello.
It is August the 21st, and I hate to push for it, but the word for the day for hashtag RPGaDAY2020 is
Push.
So push, now this is a hard one. See, investigate, I was all inspired about it, thinking about it, but push is hard.
It is, because, it can go a number of different ways. One of the things that I thought of, it was just kind of like pretty random, I guess, and relates to, when we had an anniversary for the Creative Playing Podcast Network. Mm-hmm. Remember, Jazz gave everybody it's a telescoping
back scratcher.
Yeah, but to push your miniatures across the board.
It made everyone instantly an army general.
Yeah, because that's what he gave everybody one so that we could move our miniatures, push them on the mat from across the table instead. It was really great. I mean, that was a lot of fun.
And there was far less banging up against the side of the table because of that. And
that's
the fact
true.
That people could retrieve their own dice from across the table without asking for a pass round.
Yeah. So I thought that was a fun little item for push, because can push my minis.
That's a good one.
But other than that, I was like, what? It's not like I've pushed anybody off of a cliff or anything. Like, not that I can think of.
Well, it is funny that you mention that, because push in the tactical aspect of D&D is an actual option that a lot of people don't know about.
Well, yeah, I think, we've used it only sparingly,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's only been a few times that we've, used that mechanic in the game. I don't know why. I mean, we're more likely to grapple than necessarily push.
Because the push or shoving a creature, as 5th edition causes it, you can use an attack action. You can make a special melee attack to shove a creature, either to knock it prone or to push it away from you. If you're able to make multiple attacks with an attack action, this attack replaces one of them. So the target of your shove must be no more than one size larger than you, which means no shoving gigantic dragons. And it must be within your reach. You make a strength athletics check contested by either their athletics or their acrobatics. The target gets to choose which ability they use. So in other words, they're going to be slippery and try to backflip out of your push, or they're going to be athletic-y and just look at you funny as this halfling jumps on the orc's waist trying to shove him and just kind of snickers at him.
Yeah, I think we tend to be more the murdering hobo aspect. And if we're going to be more likely to choose to kill the creature than just, get away. I mean, in all honesty, I think that would be more accurate an approach that we would take.
So basically just means I need to give you more cliffs and horrible, precipices to either have you get pushed off or to have them get pushed off to motivate you to try different things. Is that what you're saying?
No, but I did just have like this weird image of like the perils of Pauline, the old serials, you know. But that's, yeah, I mean, you want to push us into doing something different. We're not all killy. I mean, we're not complete murdering hobos. There's been instances where, you've totally expected us to go that route. And then we're like, nah, we're going to talk to them. Come on, like the water spirits that were haunting the lake, and we decide to negotiate with them instead of,
We'll totally give you that asshole because he deserves to die.
Hey, you know what? They started it.
Hey, and speaking of pushing a story along, sometimes, as a GM, you do have to push do a screen swipe and push the narration forward. Like when players just get like marred in the details of a scene, sometimes it's just like, okay.
Mired.
Yes, mired. And just push that scene forward and say, this is what you're going to next,
Yeah, that's true.
You can tell me what you bought from the merchant. We don't need to actually roleplay the shopping.
Oh, yeah, that would be a little tedious, I guess, unless that's what you're into. I mean, hey. It could be fun to haggle for some people.
It is true. It's important to know your audience, at that point, so that way you know when and where you should and should not push.
Exactly.
Just like sometimes you need to give players pushback.
True, because you can't just. On these games where you can like toss in a chip or a thing saying this happens. You gotta have certain limits on things. They can't just let you run roughshod over them. Pushing back is the GM's job. If it's too easy, where's the fun in that, right?
Yep. Think about it in Fate, like I brought up yesterday. Fate system allows you to bribe players to push the story forward because you're like, okay, we're bogging down. Car drives by and shoots at you. Here's a fate point, and then if the player looks at you and goes, here's 2 fate points, or push some fate points my direction to shut me up and continue with what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it is good to have that, and ninjas kick in the door, and scene.
Yeah, and sometimes, especially like when you're fate and you're out of fate, like the chips, I'm like, oh yeah, those are really tempting. I will do that. I will take it.
It's like I like having a fate point or 2 to use. So yeah, I'll push my luck there and see where we end up.
Yeah, but you can also push people's buttons with their backgrounds in D&D 5th edition.
That's
so
a good
like
one.
their flaw.
Playing the inspiration card.
Have you kind of like thrown alcohol at my, druid whose flaw is?
Hey, if it wasn't for your druid having that flaw, you wouldn't run into half as many drunk sailors as you have in that game.
I totally start shit. There's no reason to, worry about whether, you just put me in a town, have the others follow to try and keep me out of trouble, because I will start shit. Like, speaking of pushing buttons, my character, not only is her flaw, when she starts drinking, she can't stop. It's very hard for her to stop. But one of her bonds and stuff is that she will pretty much do anything to get revenge on the Malkantar, which is the evil faction that we came up for high seas shenanigans. And when we were in the town, and they were celebrating the Festival of Masks, I can't remember the name of the town right this second, But, so sure enough, there's a Malkantar in there, and my character, I didn't know she was the captain, not that it would have stopped me, but my character hates them so much for the horrible things that they have done, that, and I knew I wasn't allowed to actually start stuff, as I used air quotes, but I mean, it was just a little prestidigitation. I just made a stinky aroma around her. So, which pretty much started, and, some insulting words and stuff, and pretty much pushed her buttons to the point where she, oh God, she tried to have me assassinated.
Yes,
Oh
yes,
my
she
God,
did.
the moments I almost died. Twice in those. Oh my God, that was horrible. And we had no cleric.
Yep. When you start a fight with someone whose flaw is she is vain to the point of ruin, and you put fart spray on her, that kind of becomes a personal thing between two ladies.
Yeah, and she did not appreciate it and made her feelings known.
Yes, she did. There was a
As
little
did
violence there.
I. There was, quite a bit of violence. Not in the shop per se. Well, there was some negativity and there was really, really close to violence, but it was just backed off a little, like a dagger into a pillar of wood. Other than that, but then, the shit hit the fan later. My goodness.
A little air elemental summoned to come jack up your parade, so to speak.
Oh, man. If it hadn't been for Thunderwave, I'd have been dead a couple times over.
If it wasn't for your meddling spells, my elemental could have flew you into the air and dropped you on the pavement.
Yeah, but...
Or the river, whichever.
Either would have been good, right? But thank goodness there were canals too, and the monk leveled.
Yes, and that's when he went the way of the 4 elements.
Yeah,
So he had a magic range attack, which really made him a lot happier.
It made me a lot happier because he caught me.
Having that cool ability to jump a little extra height is always a good thing.
Yes, but I made my displeasure known for her. I pushed all the right buttons.
It's almost
I
like
got some revenge back.
It's almost like you saw Malkantar and you saw red.
I did. They are a huge red flag for my character. Having them kill my father's village, leave me for dead, and they tortured him, and on top of that, they killed our original captain and stole our maps, tried to kill us on that ship. Yeah.
And burned a lot of your charts and blew up the back half of your ship.
They stole. Yeah, so it's like, sorry, not sorry.
But that is the way you go when you're on the high seas and you're having shenanigans.
Yes. My character tends to start those shenanigans.
It'll be nice to get back to that actual game, and not the side quest game with the Tritons, but the actual game.
Although I do like my Triton, but it would be nice to get back to my Druid.
Well, on the plus side, the Tritons will help give some backstory to the adventure and, find out why the Sahuagin are evil. Or as Michael would say, Sahuagin!
Yeah. Sahuagin! I know nothing.
And another one I'll throw out there for push, by the way, is pushing your luck as a gamer. Sometimes, it is epic story moments when you push your luck, and, you could even try to help motivate pushing the luck by seeing if you can push for advantage, depending on what the game mechanic is. Whether it's using inspiration in D&D, saying, hey, I'm going to do something really stupid, but it's okay because I'm going to do it with advantage. Or other games like Mutineer Zero, where when you roll your dice, you can choose to push and re-roll your dice. And then, of course, if something happens, something really, really bad then happens. Which, that's always fun to see. Or like in Free League's other game, you can push and it gives the GM points that he can use for his NPCs to do epic cool stuff. In Solaris. So pushing is a good thing, you know. Push your
Or it can
players,
be.
push your luck, push your adventure along. You know, it's about push, 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 like that old Twilight Zone episode. Push, push, push.
Hey, can you push my mini over there?
Can you push me forward
Yeah,
3
next
squares?
to the... No, flanking.
Not next to the big creature they can push and shove. Or the...
Ironically enough, we use pushing maneuvers in World of Warcraft quite a bit.
This is true.
Haymaker!
It's nice playing a Cold Terran and using that Haymaker to knock the enemy back 20 feet, and then they have to waste time running back at you as you smack them again. I mean, in 4th edition, there was a lot of push and pull. They literally had that as a game mechanic, that you could forcibly push and pull characters. So if you played things right with your rogue, they were all about moving targets around the battle map, and kind of miss 4th edition for what it was.
Hey, a lot of people didn't like it, but I think it had some good qualities.
Mm-hmm. And it was lots of experimentation on the point of Wizard, because they wanted to try reinventing the wheel, which gave them, you know, a lot of cool things that they tried out that people liked, like cantrips, you know, at-will spells.
Cantrips, yay!
So it's good to push your limits, like D&D when they tried something new. You know, I'll even throw it out there as GMs and players. Push yourselves to try different RPGs, because the more RPGs you play, the more things that you learn that you do and do not like. Because there's, you know, some RPGs out there where you can have an entire year's worth of play happen in, you know, 1 or 2, you know, actual games, as opposed to other ones you guys went 5 minutes in the battle in three sessions. So sometimes for folks that like to story forward their games, maybe getting something that's more like Powered by the Apocalypse, where they can just say, I do this, one roll, and the whole scene plays out with the results of that one roll, as opposed to something that's turn by turn based like D&D. You know, whereas in Powered by the Apocalypse, it's the, I embrace danger, that's the entire fight roll. And then the GM and the player swaps back and forth describing how the battle played out depending on what the results are.
Good point.
Yeah, so push yourselves to try new things and try things in different ways, you know. Try using spells in different creative ways, you know. Push your GM to see if they'll make judgment calls on spells and different things, because that's always fun too. And push yourself as a player for more role play. Or different types of characters.
Yeah. Push yourself to use the backgrounds. I mean, that's what they're, you know, designed for, is to help, you know, make it more,
Using your backgrounds will definitely increase your fun in the game, because, you know, it gives the GM more of an excuse to push your character with their backgrounds, as well as...
And I know, and when people are new to it, the roll charts are really good, but don't be afraid to push it and make your own.
Definitely
customize that background and put in your own flaw or your own personality trait and bonds. The charts are a great guideline, but you don't have to. You're not married to them. You don't have to, you know, you can push the limits of your imagination.
Yeah, and as a player, you can always, when you level up or some milestone happens for your character, ask the GM if you can push your background into a different direction now.
Sort of like in Dresden, the fate systems where just through play you could develop new aspects.
Yeah, one that's really good at that is the new Fate Cthulhu. is, you can actually get corruption as aspects. So when bad things happen, Cthulhu-wise, your aspects actually mutate as your character
Mm.
pushes the limit of what a mortal can do in the eyes of Cthulhu. Now you have tentacle arms. What are you going to do
Oh,
with
joy.
tentacle arms?
Um.
Well, it's the 1960s in this time travel adventure. I'm going to invent a certain form of anime.
Oh God. Now you're pushing it.
Have I pushed the boundaries enough?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's probably a good place to wrap it up there for hashtag RPGaDay2020 for push. Can you push it? I just had to throw the Warriors reference out there because,
Yeah, but
I pushed
no.
it too far.
Yeah.
Well, even if you push the fourth wall too far, it will push back, just as Deadpool. Alrighty, that's a good place to wrap it up there.
Thank you for listening to the Creative Play and Podcast Network. And feel free to enjoy our other shows, such as D&D Journey of the 5th Edition and Scion Ragnarok and Roll, a Scion hero to Ragnarok story. Thank you for listening.